Woo! Hello and welcome once again to a webinar by UX Team by Nearsoft. Today we're going to be looking at how service mapping leads to personalized trips. My name is Kim Lantis. I'll be your host today. I function as a content coordinator here at Nearsoft. I'm joined by my fellow Nearsoftian, Denise Gutierrez, who is a UX researcher here at Nearsoft. And our guest speaker is Eric Flowers. Eric, welcome. He's the founder at Practical Service Design.
Yes, hello, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for joining us. Um, so we're really excited to be here together with Practical Service Design. Just so you know, we're part of a larger team. You can see a photo there of Denise, along with some other UX research designers, as well as research designers, um, and content creators, a large group of people. You can also see Eric there with his teammate Megan. So, Eric, please tell us a bit about Practical Service Design and what it is that you do.
So we're kind of a information and community of practice resource for the service design community. We run a Slack community with about 3,000 members all across the world, connecting people. We try to do webinars and talks and podcasts and just kind of spread the message and the methods and mindset of service design in something that's grown a whole lot over the past year with all those members and all the content we've produced. So we're kind of just an educational resource and content production project.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm having a delay. I'm hearing feedback of everything that we're hearing, so I can't tell what's live and what's not. So I'm getting that loop. So excuse the flow here. Well, we get that figured out. I'll go ahead and let these guys get started, but I'll walk you through real quick our agenda. So today's agenda is first going to touch on personalization in travel, and why that's important. Then we'll set the stage for human experience, what that means and why it's also important. Of course, then we'll walk into exactly what is service mapping and how to do that with the 5-step guide. We'll do some takeaways, and there's also a time for questions and answers at the end. So, as you're watching today, if you have any questions for us, please ask via Twitter. You can see the handle up there at the upper right, Nearsoft UX webinar. Or you can also just log on and write your questions with the webinar's website as well. So, thank you. So let's go ahead and get started. Denise, tell us, what is personalized experience and why is that important?
Thank you, Kim, and welcome everyone. I want to start with a quote that 83% of US travelers expect travel brands to personalize their experience. So, personalization is not anymore a nice to have feature. Now, travelers are expecting a personalized experience. So, it's important for customers, but also it's important for companies too, because 40% of customers buy more after experiencing a multi-channel personalized experience. So it's a win-win, and that's why personalization is a big word, not only in travel but in any industry trying to evolve and stand out. So what is personalization? uh, it's to provide travelers with content they are interested in, the way they want it, and only when they need it. And in order to start building a personalized experience, we need to know the customer data to understand our users, then multi-channel approach. So we are not talking just about mobile, it's an overall experience online and offline. And also we need to know the key moments when users need us. So a good example of a travel brand that is doing a great job in personalization is Marriott. They recently redesigned their mobile app, so their guest doesn't have to go to the front desk to do that. Um, and they can also customize their stay, use their app as a key, as a room key, and even chat with the hotel staff. And even after their stay, members receive personalized offers based on their previous behaviors. So that's pretty cool, and that's why Marriott is creating a deeper relationship with their customers.
Thank you, Denise. So now that we understand exactly what it means to have a personalized experience, let's go ahead and set the stage for a human experience. And that's one of the things that Eric's going to be talking to us about today. So, Eric, please.
Yeah, let me click on my screen. So I want you all to imagine a human experience I'm going to talk you through. Okay, so imagine that you wake up in the morning and start down the road with, can you guys see what I'm sharing, by the way? I can't tell.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So you wake up, you start down the road with one of your best friends, heading towards what you've been looking forward to this trip all this time, to hit this new amusement park and go on the Super Coaster 5000. You show up at the parking lot and wind your way through the maze of cars. You get into another maze, a line of people waiting to get in. And you end up scanning your ticket that you received in the mail that allows you to get into the park. And finally, you get there and can see all the rides in the distance. You ignore most of them. You don't see the people who are cleaning up the trash. You don't see the staff. You don't see any of the other stuff that's going on. You just see your goal, the Super Coaster there in the background. So you get to another line there to get on the coaster, and you wait in the sun for your turn to get up and get on. You finally arrive and see your seats and how you're going to be able to experience this wild ride. You get in, the straps come down, and you're able to go 1,000,000 miles an hour around the coaster to finally experience what you came here to experience all along. You stop off after you're done to eat and get some of the food that is provided to you by the staff at the amusement park, and get back in your car and drive home at night, satisfied at this experience that you've had going to the amusement park and what they provided, all to get the end result, which is the few moments when you were on the coaster, getting the daylight scared out of you as you go all around, and end up with the picture, which was the whole purpose of why you went to the park. And so as we looked at that human experience, let's take a step back and break it down and look at what actually transpired during that that amusement park story that we just saw. So the first thing I want to bring up is the concept of a touch point. And this is a point of interaction between the customer and the service. An ecosystem like the park is made up of a bunch of different touch points that are available for the customer to experience. Inside those ecosystems, you have different channels, which are the different mediums in which the touch points and interactions take place. So this could be marketing, advertising, things that are at the park, where the touch points are physically located, all the different ways that the ecosystem is set up. And so if you look at the Super Coaster itself, it's an entity inside of the park that is a touch point. When you look at the entire park, there are a lot of different things that make up that ecosystem and make up that park. So you've got the Ferris wheel, which is old and reliable, that people come and ride on and always try and hit when they get there. You've got the concessions and the staff and the cleanup crew that's keeping the park nice and keeping the food made and keeping everyone moving smoothly throughout the park. You've got all the signage and flags out front, the marketing that lets people know that there's something inside that's going to be interesting. And then you have the gates, which is what allows people to come in and use your experience, or keeps them out if they don't have that ticket, which says that they are allowed to come in and experience what you offer. And so each time a customer of the park comes through, they create their own journey throughout the park, going from touch point to touch point, inside the ecosystem in a way that you can't predict. And so this journey through each touch points end up being formed into a line. And this is the experience that a customer has as they go from experiencing the marketing to the gate to the Ferris wheel, all the different types of services that are being performed and provided by the staff, and finally to their ultimate goal, which is the roller coaster. And the goal isn't even to get to the coaster. The goal is to get to the goal is to get to the experience of being scared as you go through the coaster. And so you have this ecosystem made up of all these different touch points that the customers can put together in any order they want as they traverse everything that you have to offer. And they can make an infinite combination of experiences as they go from touch point to touch point. And none of these are predictable by us. It's something that they assemble. And so the customers design their experience each and every time they go through what we offer. And we can only set the stage in service of the customer's journey. We can't actually design their journey. And so the ultimate point of this is that we just act in service of the customer's needs, and designing for service is how we ensure successful delivery of that service.
Okay, perfect. So the idea of designing a service all falls back on that interaction.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's all about interactions, as Eric said, from the customer to the service and through all the touch points and channels. So service mapping at the end is that we want to map all the interactions between them, includes all the touchpoint channels and the operations behind the service. And it may look like a mess if you think about it. So what we want is to organize those interactions between them as a timeline. So imagine a line of visibility in your service. So what customers can see in the front stage is where they interact with your staff. So we see customer action, touch points, and staff actions, then the line of visibility, and after that, the backstage. That is where is invisible to the user and the operations that make the front stage happen. So once we understand that, the travel experience is quite long because it's a start from the inspiration to go somewhere and finishing through the post trip. So we can map services before, during, and after the trip. So it's important to know that we need to set a scope to start. For this webinar, we will be highlighting the while traveling experience as our scope.
Perfect. So as we move on, I just want to make it clear that we've chosen KLM as a case study, an airline. And KLM has a true business goal, and that business goal of theirs is to create a service to help KLM customers in a fun and relevant way while they're actually traveling. And as they discovered or tried to discover to reach that goal, they came across some common problems that their users face while traveling. And those problems include finding their way around an unfamiliar city or country, slow connection speeds, as well as language barriers. So, based on KLM's goal as well as the problems that they found, we chose to use them as an example for service mapping. For non disclosure reasons, we're not able to show you our own clients. So what we did is we've chosen to use this just as a hypothetical scenario. Okay, so it's a hypothetical scenario of how KLM could have used their discovery to come up with their really new cool product. So go ahead, please, and walk us through then the 5 steps for service mapping.
Yeah, so 5-step guide for service mapping. The first step is to collect customer data, then map your service, recognize opportunity areas, and discover insights. And after that, just take action. So it's important to know that service mapping is a team activity. So we recommend you to follow these steps with your team to have a business and technical approach in your new service that you're building. So first step, Collect customer data. You probably already have data collected, such as web analytics, user reviews, profile data, etc. All of those help, but my personal preference is one-on-one interviews, like the basic talk to your customers. Second step, map your service. Once you have your data collected, you can document what users do while traveling and how they interact with your service. So using the data that we already have, we are mapping out a very common customer journey while traveling. So we have customer actions, touch points, staff actions, line of visibility, and then backstage stuff. So I write down one action per posted. And the first one says that the user already arrived and doesn't know where to go in the airport. So he's following the signs that will lead him to the arrival exits. So he tried to request a number and failed because the service is not available or has a slow connection. Then he asked to a staff member where he can request a cab. Then he went to the taxi station, paid the service, and wait in line. And when he arrives to the hotel, he asks where is the nearest ATM to the front desk person and received a guide with the nearest attractions. After that, he looked for a place to eat using Google Maps. And finally, he stayed in contact with their family and friends via Facebook Messenger. So that's the most common scenario while traveling based on our data. So the third step is to recognize opportunity areas. We're highlighting the positive and negative key moments. So now that we can visualize the customer journey. We looked for the moment that where um, the customer feels confused, worried, and also moments of delight. We highlighted the negative moments and also the positive too. And the fourth step is here comes the fun part: how to discover what is relevant for my customers. Now that we have the positive and negative, we're going to highlight them into insights. So we already know that our customers are not comfortable asking for directions, and they have trouble using bandwidth heavy apps, and they like to make informed decisions in Google Maps, and also they are familiar with Facebook Messenger. So we translated all that insights into a positive and wondering how might we create a service that helps our customers with instant directions, lightweight service, Facebook Messenger, and Google Maps. And in this part, it's important to have a brainstorming session with your team involved in the project. So the key is to write down ideas quickly so we can have several solutions that choose the one that is business and technical feasible. So based on what we found, the idea is that the customer can get directions through Facebook Messenger by sending an emoji. So it's where our users are already comfortable, and also emojis are fun and easy access. So the final step is take action to ideate the future of our service. Now that we captured the observation in our service mapping, what we did is to ideate the ideal future. So the user will send an emoji through Facebook Messenger and KLM bot. Uh, the previous slide, please. Yes. Uh, so the user will send emoji through Facebook Messenger, and KLM bot will reply instantly asking for his location. After that, the user will receive a response with nearby options, and the backstage staff will need to connect the Facebook Messenger API with Google location data. And also, we need to categorize the responses for each emoji. So with that info, you can start assigning owners to each action item to make the new service a reality. And here's how KLM emoji service look like. So you can see the user can send a money icon, and then he receive the ATM locations nearby. And also users can send any emoji, and then they will receive an instant response anywhere they are. So even if a user send a beer emoji, they will receive the nearest bars available. So that's pretty cool.
No, that's really fun. So our KLM case study was just kind of a rough example of how to run service mapping. Eric, however, he's an expert on service design, so he's going to explain why it's important to have service mapping workshops inside companies. So, Eric, please.
Um, yeah, so I'm going to just talk through a kind of a little case study on running the workshops and how we went through it and what we came out with. So the uh, the first thing that we do is have to get all the people who represent the service end to end together to be able to answer those questions that you just saw throughout the life cycle of the experience. And so this could be people from marketing, from advertising, people from finance, people from design and development, all the way down to people in support that typically make up the linear chronological experience of whatever scenario you're trying to map. And so you can see a picture here of everyone together looking at the map, building it up on the projector on the screen in real time so that you have all the people there to answer the questions and to provide the information needed to build the map. And what you end up with is this real life service blueprint that shows you the true end-to-end chronological journey of what happens in the experience, but also the surface to core, backstage and behind the scenes activities that support the experience and that actually make it go and make it happen. And these are the things that most of the time are hidden to the customer, but are the things that we have to do to make the experience a success and successfully deliver it. And it's with these artifacts that you're able to share out with everyone. You can print them out really big, you can share them digitally, and let people see where they fit into the experience. And so they can start making changes, they can start making improvements in ways that they wouldn't have been able to before because they didn't know the entire end-to-end experience and they didn't see their place in the experience. Because these maps will reveal things that you've never seen before and that you've never had knowledge of because people are siloed in certain sections. And so when you think about the blueprint and mapping things out, it's important to make the distinction that what you're seeing is not the view of how it's designed. Often when we design something, we think that's what actually is happening. But these mapping views gives you the whole end-to-end surface to core picture of how it's actually being delivered in the real world and what's going on to the customer and to us backstage in reality.
Right. Perfect. So basically, as we move on, we're wrapping up the end of what we're talking about today, but let's talk about some of our takeaways. Denise, do you want to expand on those on personalized travel experiences?
Sure, just to wrap up, the first takeaway that we are suggesting is customer centric. Always our user is the first thing that we need to take in consideration to connect through your customers' emotions. So then we will have the service mapping workshops. So it's service mapping. It's not an activity that you can run by yourself. You need to make a workshop with your team to in order to make it technical and business feasible. And the third one is just we have to think in a cross-channel approach. So correlated experiences online and offline, not only mobile, not only a website or an app. A service can be also in store and in inspiration when you when I just said after, during, and before the service. So yeah, I think that's it.
Perfect. Thank you. Um, well, let's go ahead and step into. Unless Eric, do you have anything else that you'd like to add, or we can step into the Q&A?
No, I think that's a great explanation. I love how you guys have put it together.
Thank you. We do have a question, and this question is coming from Claire M, and she's asking, What users say and what users do is often different. How do you accommodate for poor memory or misremembering when conducting one on one interviews or surveys? And why aren't you using something like a diary study or ethnography that could capture in time data? What tool are you using to build the end to end map?
So a lot of the things you see in the end-to-end map.
Say
Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay. Um, the things that we were using to build those end-to-end maps rely on customer data and our voice of the customer listening posts throughout the experiences where we're capturing data as they go through and as they experience different touch points. We're finding out, their net promoter score or other metrics of how they're experiencing it, and we mix that in with follow me home exercises where we go observe what's actually going on, and we don't bring any type of survey. We just see what they actually do, and anything that they say is filtered through the lens of, does this match up with what they're actually doing? And so that picture of that end to end gets mixed together with the subject matter experts, and we get with something, or we end up with something that has always felt very accurate, but not necessarily super precise, because there are so many different ways that you can aggregate a service experience. It's never going to represent one person's experience. It's going to represent a whole generalized experience. So it's a mix of listening post data that comes from the beginning of the experience to the end across all the silos, and then observation of what the customer or the user or the traveler actually is doing throughout the experience. So it's very real world, real observation based with very little surveys involved.
Yeah, and I will just want to add that there's a lot of methodologies in order to not only just get data, but also translate them into insights. So that way, we're not just getting what users are saying, but as Eric said, we are watching them and we can understand them, their needs and behaviors. So, yeah.
Did either one of you want to address the specific question about diary studies or ethnography?
What was the question about the?
She was asking, why aren't you using something like a diary study or ethnography that could capture in time data?
That's a good question. I don't really have, I'll be just upfront, I don't really have a good answer for that, because my company's research and care and voice of the customer organization is so big. Usually a lot of that stuff has already been collected. And as the mapper and the service designer, often I am coming in as a consultant on other people's projects where they have that stuff. They just don't know what to do with it. And we do have professional ethnographers and professional researchers, whole teams of people. So I'm not going to attempt to make up an answer just to answer,
Okay.
other than to say, a lot of that stuff is being captured by our very large data research organization.
Okay, so there is a place for it. It's just not something that you personally are doing.
I'm much more of a consultant, yeah,
Okay, perfect.
joining projects.
She said, so they answered it, the follow me homework smile face. So we're good.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. And then there is one other question. The question is, with the KLM case, did you address the same pains for a non-digital experience? So I believe with the KLM case, it was hypothetical for us. It wasn't a case that we actually took on as a client. However, I suppose we could talk about the importance of non-digital experiences as well.
Yeah, of course, it's important to say that KLM is worried about the personalized experience after, during, and before their travelers the trip. So uh, in terms of non-digital approaches, they are using a lot of another features. This example of KLM emoji, it's obviously a digital, but it came from an idea of a overall service, overall experience that it's from different touch points and channel, non-digital and digital. So I don't know if that answer your question, but um, the solution can be or not digital, but the source of the research should you should focus your experience in all the ways around your channels. Does it make sense?
I think so, and I think we hit there's a good point, and I think sometimes with experience, with technology being what it is, and everything being so excited, maybe we try to actually complicate things more by always trying to go digital, and just the realization that it's good to always go back to those basics of the non-digital experience as well. Would you agree with that, Eric? Or where's that balance between digital and non-digital?
Where I work in a digital space that has mostly digital and not so much, the tangible real world stuff. Kind of the balance is truly looking at the customer's job to be done from a human empathetic standpoint, and digital, non-digital, analog, online, offline experiences all just become touch points and channels that are combined into that end-to-end surface to core experience. And kind of beyond personas and journey mapping, we've transcended that and user experience and service design into things that are much more end to end. And if you want to go Google the jobs to be done framework, it'll make a lot more sense about how when you pass from context of touch point to channel, what really matters is the customer's original goal you're trying to help them get to, and however you're trying to get them there isn't as important as knowing what that goal is.
I like that a lot. Thank you very much. I think that's the end of our questions today. So we'll just wrap you up by saying thank you for joining us today. And of course, if you want to know more, you can reach out and contact us. You can reach Denise directly. There's her email address, Denise Gutierrez at Nearsoft.com. She's also on Twitter. And then you can feel free to visit our website as well. And there you go with Eric as well, Eric at practicalservicedesign.com. His Twitter handle is at Eric_flowers, and feel free to visit their website as well, practicalservicedesign.com. So thank you all very much for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Eric.